question everything. Without the question, how can you have the answer? Wisdom comes from within. This is high-level heresy.
Greetings, fellow Earthlings. My name is Zach.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is
High Level Heresy.
What if every atom around you, the chair, your memories, even your sense of self, is data? Today, we explore the question, what is the Matrix, and are we living in it? We'll talk about the science, philosophy, mysticism, and the strange possibility that they all point to the same truth.
And I know we'll get into the Matrix movie and Plato's allegory of the cave. But before we start diving into our question of the day, let's all take a breath together to ground us into the moment and kind of get on the same wavelength. So we'll begin with, I'll say inhale, that'll be your 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, exhale 2, 3, 4. And if you're somewhere that you feel comfortable, go ahead and sigh it out on your exhale, an audible sigh. Thank you, Zach, for the example. All right, just close your eyes if you can. If you're driving, just come into the moment. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2. Exhale, 2, 3, 4.
I did that a little bit late, but it still felt
It's
good.
okay. It still felt good. All right. Well, today we are very excited because we have our first guest on our podcast, and we are with Mark Allan. He is a psychic at the Pyramid of Enlightenment. And Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, what you offer at the Pyramid, and he'll be answering some questions for us regarding the Matrix. So,
thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been with the Pyramid of Enlightenment since 1995. They've been in business 33 years this year. We had our 33rd anniversary. We've always tried to bend the affordable readings in the community, try to keep our prices at best possible price. But we definitely are community oriented. We try to help out. We are on the east side of Indianapolis, and we're out by Olive Garden on East Washington and Franklin Road. We also have crystals, symbols, gifts of sorts, candles, scents, any way that can help people grow spiritually, whatever they're needing at that time.
Awesome. And I know you teach multiple classes there, but one that we're interested in talking about a little deeper today is your class, Understanding the Matrix. And we're excited to dive in a little bit more about that since it goes along with our question, what is the Matrix? We will start by giving a summary of Plato's allegory of the cave, because before the Matrix and Keanu Reeves, Plato had some things to say about the nature of reality. So imagine that you've lived your entire life in a cave and you're chained so you can't turn your head. All you can see is a wall, blank wall. Behind you, there's a fire, And between that fire and your back, people walk by carrying objects, statues, tools, everyday things. The fire casts shadows of those objects onto the wall in front of you. So Plato's allegory, there's prisoners. You're one of those prisoners. And they're all chained, and all they see is the blank wall and these shadows walking. That's what they believe. This is all they know. And no one questions anything. But then one day, one of the prisoners breaks free. And he makes it outside of the cave. And at first, he's disillusioned, disoriented. He is unsure. He can't really see. And as everything starts to come into focus, he realizes, oh, this is actual reality. This is what's going on. I can move about more freely. And he tries to go back into the cave and help wake up the other prisoners and show them, guys, this isn't it. This is just shadow. This is illusion. This is not what is really going on. There's more outside. And the prisoners begin to get upset because they don't want to be disturbed in their reality. So Plato's point is that most people take their first impressions of reality as the full picture, never questioning what's behind them. I think that's a very good parallel to kind of beginning to wake up to the Matrix and people beginning to, oh, something else is going on. We've seen a lot of more and more people today are beginning to realize that there's more than meets the eye and there's more layers. So, Mark, can you explain to us in your words and what resonates with you, what the Matrix is? If somebody said, what is the Matrix?
Well, first of all, let's go back to the prisoner escaped. When he came back and explained it, that's when they called him a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, yes.
Yep. There you go.
And that's what they do with everybody that does that.
Mm-hmm.
Matrix, it's a program, kind of like a program on your computer, that's a powerful thing that they can use to control people, control all of us. And they say, here's your truth. And you buy into it, and it becomes your truth. Because everybody's reality is different. It comes to you as you take in everything you sight, your hearing, your feelings. This is all creating your reality.
Mm-hmm. And your belief becomes your reality.
Yes, and it starts before you were born. Because each time we're born, we're responsible for our last 7 lifetimes. So you take all the unfinished business, all the lessons that you didn't learn, put that in a mix, the recipe. And then you take the time you were in your mother's womb and everything she experienced went into that. All her feelings, all her fears, angers, everything went into this mix. And then everything you've seen, felt, heard, experienced up to this point is all part of that reality. This is why everybody's reality is different. But they all follow the same rules, and the rules are the Matrix.
The rules are the Matrix. And ultimately, we have the capability to co-create our reality.
Absolutely.
So, Zach, as far as I know, there's some simulation hypothesis along with this. Can you go into that a little bit for us?
Yep. So there's been plenty of physicists, scientists, philosophers. Well, I guess we're already talking about philosophers, but that have shown different aspects of our reality pointing towards the fact that it is something that, like the Matrix, or a simulation, whatever you want to call it. One of the more recent studies have shown recently that the universe runs on mathematical rules, like a program executing instructions. Physics at the smallest scale, so that would be your quantum realm, quantum mechanics. They don't look like swirling matter. It looks more like information processing. So there was a guy, his name was John Wheeler. He was a physicist, and he coined the phrase it from bit. So that means physical reality is the it arises from binary informational states. That's your bit, like a gigabyte, a bit, that term for storage. So that's just one small example that essentially at the smallest scale of our reality, they've essentially found computer code. It's another guy named James Gates discovered in superstring theory that it uses error correcting codes, which is identical to the kind of structure that's used within our search engines, our browsers, all that kind of stuff. So from a scientific standpoint, they're seeing at the core of our reality, as far as we can see, it's error correcting codes, which points to the fact that there is a creator. Now, I don't necessarily think that we're inside of a computer, as we know it. I think, some people would say that idea, the simulation theory and things like this and these kinds of discoveries, that I don't think that negates any kind of spiritual realm or spiritual backing to this. I think it just is simply a scientific or logical way of explaining that essentially it just points to the fact that there's a creator. But that's just one example. The guy's name, Nick Bostrom. That's another guy that he had a what he called his simulation hypothesis. He was actually an Oxford philosopher, and he specialized in a lot of questions like this: AI, future of humanity, what happens when clever monkeys start building godlike machines like us creating AI. But what he didn't actually say that we're 100% in a simulation. He had very briefly, he had three different hypotheses, but he said that he proposed that at least one of these statements must be true. So the first one is, no civilization ever reaches a point where it can run extremely advanced simulations of reality because they wipe themselves out or they lose interest or they stagnate. Two, civilizations that do reach that level simply never run simulations of conscious beings. So maybe it's unethical, it's boring, or they've got better things to do. Or three, we are almost certainly living inside a simulation. So if advanced civilizations can run these simulations, and they do run them, they could run billions of them. In that case, the number of simulated conscious beings would vastly outnumber the original biological ones. So he goes through this whole thing. He was an Oxford philosopher, but it's a very interesting way to look at it. I don't necessarily, if it's aliens or humans from the future or angels or whatever it is, it all points back to the fact that there's a creator. I think that's what I'm coming back to each time, because I don't think something like that, just if that's true, with code and things like that they're seeing how our reality works, somebody created that. There's all different kinds of theories of, who it could be, what it could be. A lot of people think it's some sort of future us, maybe post-human civilization simulating their ancestors.
Mark,
I don't know.
what do
That's
you?
just one of many theories, but nonetheless, I think we definitely live in a matrix, whether you want to call that a matrix or a simulation theory or whatever. What do you think, Mark? Mark, excuse me.
I agree. I think that, first of all, I have a belief. Not saying everybody else has to have the same beliefs, but I do believe there is an original creator. The universe is all mind. Okay, so with our mind, as we grow into new consciousnesses, we have more of a say so in our outcome. This is reached through breathing techniques and meditation. Start seeking the higher conscious levels and start understanding things, and it's that peeking your head outside the cave theory again. oh my God, there's a whole nother way of living. We're told that's not normal. That's not how it works. Matrix says this is how we live here. This is how to be human or a person. You can't do that. That can't be done. Well, because they said it out loud, that is their belief, and they continued and anchored it into that belief. This is why I watch my words better now. Great book out there called Magic Words that teaches us that everything we say creates. Your thoughts are like the seeds in and your words are putting miracle grow on the plant.
I like that.
Spelling.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So across multiple cultures and religions and just spiritual traditions, there is a theme of that we're living in an illusion. And you can call that illusion the Matrix. In Hinduism, the concept of the Maya, which Maya means illusion, or the world as divine illusion, bringing that divinity into it. The soul, or Atman, awakens to realize unity with Brahman, the source. So then in Buddhism, samsara as cyclical illusion, and we are enlightened as we awaken from the dream. In Gnosticism, it's trapping divine sparks in material simulation. So the divine spark of that creator, and then each one of us has our own reality within that.
And that is like right on par with the Matrix plot, as in the movie. Side note, what you just said.
So just in case anyone hasn't seen The Matrix, give us just a brief summary of what goes on in The Matrix. And
well,
Keanu,
I think, isn't he the one who famously said that
The Matrix is a documentary? Yes, he did say that.
So The Matrix is one of my all-time favorite movies, and it basically I will say this, I don't think that we are literally, I think some of that movie is obviously symbolic. I don't think we're literally, our actual bodies are in these little pods that are, and I think that's obviously metaphorical for we are being, drained by the system. The system is powered off of our energy, our emotions, what you might call loosh in certain circles, that you're especially negative emotions, but they're milking us for all we're worth, or they're trying to. So basically, Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, he lives a very boring life, goes to the same job every day. He's just does the same thing. He's in a loop, like a lot of us feel a lot of the time. I'm sure that you feel kind of like you're in a loop. He's in this loop. He's working in a dead-end office job and starts noticing some things, and then one thing leads to another, and he ends up basically seeing glitches in the Matrix and ends up kind of choosing whether he's going to take the red pill or the blue pill. That's where we get that whole, if you've ever heard somebody say that, that's a red pill conversation or whatever. Blue pill he was offered the blue pill. All right, you're just going to wake up from this dream and you're not going to remember any of this, and you're just going to be blissfully ignorant.
Ignorance is
and
bliss.
Walking through, just floating through life, ignorance is bliss. Or I can give you the red pill and you're going to wake up and you're not going to live that blue pill life. You're going to wake up, you're going to see everything for what it is. And he tells him it's rough. It's a rough ride getting there. And it's hard to accept it. That gets into, cognitive dissonance, which is what everybody experiences at some point when they start waking up, because your paradigm is just being, crashing down in a very short time span when somebody's talking to you, or you have that realization, that light bulb moment. So anyways, it's a whole movie about him waking up, basically. And then he sees everything for what it is. He sees how our reality is controlled by the elites, the controllers of the world, the Agent Smiths of the world. I think that was symbolic of, the man or whatever you want to call it. And then, and it goes on through that story of him kind of fighting back against that system.
Fighting
and
back.
then
And within that, they can essentially download programs where they know, well, like they hook him up and he
downloads a program,
martial arts.
Yeah,
and he's professional at martial arts. And that is, I believe, symbolizing removing the limitations that we put on ourselves because we've been conditioned that we have no power within this paradigm, within this matrix. And when you actually remove the limitations, when you realize this is something that can be manipulated, you are able to move more freely and within the matrix.
Yeah, it's like tapping into your different timelines.
Yes.
Because in that other life, you are the martial artist.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you're just timeline jumping over into it. And I find it weird because in that movie, he was in a cubicle.
Yes.
It's scientifically proven that people that are in square rooms cannot think for themselves. They obey your commands.
Oh, man.
So let's look at schools.
Ooh.
Let's look at offices.
Oh, man. Indoctrination camps.
Indoctrination station.
Oh, man.
Well, as a builder, I remember I built high-end homes, and I remember they started shrinking the children's bedrooms to 10 by 10 rooms.
Oh, man. Just the children's?
Yeah.
Wow. That's,
Gosh.
So
question.
They obeyed their parents better that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Man, that's why you have to, just down to the size of rooms. That's why question everything. Excuse me? Why is my cubicle square? I would like a round one, please. Okay, so moving within that.
Also, for anybody who has seen it or anybody that plans to watch it, they refer to Neo as the One, and that's his name is just, what is it, an anagram or a mixing up of the letters? I can't remember what the term for that is.
Neo
acronym.
Also,
what is it?
Acronym.
Is it acronym where you mix up the letters and it's like the same?
That's anagram.
It is an anagram.
Yeah.
Neo is an anagram for the One.
But doesn't it also mean? Doesn't Neo mean new?
Yes, but I'm saying it was written into the story as an anagram for the one because they call him the One. So sorry.
And I know a lot of in the Christian realm, they correlated Neo with Jesus.
Jesus, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that because Neo was essentially performing miracles in that movie. They don't call it that, but he can fly. He can
because he knew how to manipulate
bullets,
the matrix.
He can essentially manipulate his environment, the same way that we would read about Jesus manipulating his environment, walking on water, things like that. So yes, it's a nice parallel there so that's the Matrix in a nutshell. Go watch it if you haven't. There's actually 4 of them and they're all amazing.
So, okay. People realize they're in a matrix or they start waking up, they see things around them. They've had maybe cracks in the code or glitches in our reality. So in those things, something like deja vu, when you have a moment that you feel like I've been here before, I've experienced this. Mark, do you have anything on that?
Yeah. Your future self is showing you what's coming to make better choices. And to those that are waking up, when you start listening to your intuition regularly, they give you more clues. And that's one of their clues, just like synchronicities. That's saying you're on the right track, keep going. But the deja vu is showing you where you've already been in the future, what you lived in that parallel universe that's going to take you to the better life now.
Can you give, I know I have probably a million in my lifetime. Can you give any examples of synchronicities that you've had with, like along your path, something that sticks out to you as there was no doubt it was a synchronicity, a push that I'm in the right direction?
Well, I think mine started like most is with numbers, repeating numbers, addresses, license plates, things like that. That's a pretty typical, hey, we're getting your attention here. And then you start seeing it with the people you run into. It's like they're on a parallel line with you, or, oh my God, I experienced that just the other day. Or you're thinking a thought and you turn on a podcast or the radio station and it's like, oh my God, there's the answer right there. These are the things, ways they can talk to us if we're listening.
I would like to give a couple just personal examples of some synchronicities that I've had, or something that I believe was, it seemed almost programmed just for me. One specifically, I remember we had found out that my mom had breast cancer. And of course, there was some initial upset and fear behind that. And she had said, they think it's only, stage 1. I'm going to go in. I'm going in today to the doctor, and they're going to do some testing and talk about what their findings, and we'll see where it's really at. And I was on my way to work. I was driving, and I remember exactly where I was at on the road. I was thinking, man, I haven't heard from my mom yet. That means it's probably not good news. And I look over to my right and I see a license plate that says 421. That's my mom's birthday, 421. And I heard, your mom's going to be okay. Boom, my phone rings. And it's my mom telling me, actually, it's a little worse off than we thought, but here's the things, and told me the details. And I went into work and I was, distraught. But because I had that moment that was given to me, I believe, as to have peace, to not be wrecked for the rest of the day, that like to look over and see her birthday, what are the chances, And then just more recently with our home and all the synchronicities that lined up for pushing us out here to come put our business in a cornfield. And we were walking the dogs, and there's a little bridge right over yonder. And we look at the sign, and the sign says, Bridge over Foster's Branch. Well, if you don't know, our last name is Foster. And that's the name of the creek that runs right in front of our house, Foster's Branch. What are the odds? Come on. So it's just amazing, miraculous things like that it's like there's no denial that there's something at play. And I choose to believe it's guides and angels, ancestors, and there is one universal, one infinite creator. Those things are given as guides, as just signposts on our path, like you said, to let you know that you're in the right direction, or to give you peace or ease, or, and the numbers are always huge for me, just seeing 111, 11, 11, 333. One time I was thinking about how there was something that I needed to give up, and I look over and I see 420 on a license plate, and then I see 333 right next to it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because if you know what 420 stands for. So anyhow.
Let me just add another recent synchronicity, or a recent, synchronicity.
Because we don't call them coincidences. There are no coincidences.
No, I do not believe in coincidences. Do you, Mark?
No.
No, not at all. Real quick, because this also ties into our business. When we bought our property here in the building where we were going to be building our new shop, it was just an empty 3-car garage, but we were going to be completely renovating it and building an entirely new shop inside. So when we first came and looked at the place, We walked into the garage because we could tell, like, okay, this is going to be our shop. It was the perfect size, perfect square footage. We walk in there, it's empty. There's just, random tools and stuff in there. And in the far corner of the shop, there was a barber pole sign. And if you haven't listened to previous episodes, we have a salon. It's a salon and barber shop that we own. I'm a barber. She's a hairstylist. And we immediately saw it and we're like, dude, what are the odds that there's a barber pole sign in the building where we're planning on, if we buy this is going to become our salon and barber shop. And to add even more to that, we find out that one of the people that lived here, the grandfather, the wife of, the couple that we bought it from, it was the wife's parents also lived here. That her dad, turns out that was his barber pole sign, and he had been a barber for like 53 or 57 years, 53 years, I think, something like that, right up the road from where we live here. And so just crazy synchronicity that happened to be here. And that's what I'm a barber, and that's what we were going to be doing here.
So it was just like one more sign that I remember when I saw that. I walked in there and I was like, does everybody else see that? Because I was like, am I the only one seeing a barber pole when we're literally looking at this place to be part barber shop? And that ended up, we asked if we could purchase it from him, and he ended up just gifting it to us, and it stayed in our shop the whole time we built out. The whole time we were building out, that just got moved around the shop, and it now rests in Zach's studio.
Sits on my station in my studio. So pretty cool little story, but just a cool another synchronicity to add to the list, a more recent one.
Yeah.
So I believe when you start waking up, and it's the same for everybody, you start waking up, start opening your eyes, learning more, realizing what reality is and how it operates. One sign that you're doing that is synchronicities, is synchronous situations like that, and or seeing the numbers. I think the numbers is a big one. That's a very simple, basic one that I feel like a lot of people, when they start waking up, opening their eyes, you start noticing these number patterns. And then if you want to go further, each of those number patterns do have different meanings. So sometimes it's, messages from your angels or your guides, a specific type of message as opposed to just one overall. But I think just seeing those is a nice sign that, like, I think it's a good rule of thumb, I think, is that if you're seeing that, whatever you're doing right.
Well, and synchronicities have always been there. You're just tuning your frequency to start catching them. And Mark, do you have anything else you'd like to add regarding synchronicities?
No, I think that's just more proof that you're waking up.
So another favorite thing of mine within the realm of the Matrix is talking about the Mandela effect and some of those things that kind of show that reality has been or can be manipulated. So the Mandela effect it originated from Nelson Mandela. There's a large grouping, thousands, I can't give you the specific number, but thousands of people that believe that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 80s. I myself had heard that as a child.
I'm pretty sure it was on the news.
Yeah. Thank you. So Mark saw it on the news and he knows, but I remember hearing that. And then years later, our reality is that he actually was released from prison in 1990 and became the president of South Africa.
Yep. So and then he died in 2013.
And wild. So that's one. That's where the effect originated, that there's a large group of people that have a specific memory and would swear by it. But then the reality is, or current reality is something different. So just to run down a few of those because they're fun. Berenstain Bears. Zach?
I had a bunch of those books.
And we both, growing up on those books, and there was a cartoon. It was the Berenstein Bears, Stein. But now if you look,
Not anymore.
it's Berenstain Bears. So I don't know if you have any of those books, you can say, well, I can prove it. You can't because the reality was shifted. So now your book will say Berenstain.
I was born in Pentecostal Christianity, and I remember in the Bible there was a scripture that talked about the lamb laying with the lion. Now you can't find it.
Yeah, I remember that, the lion and the lamb, and it's big symbology within the Christian tradition. Fruit of the loom, that was another one. Mark, do you remember what the logo? Could you describe the logo for the fruit of the loom?
Well, it was a loom, and it had a bunch of fruit. I remember on the commercials they used people were in fruit dancing around.
Yes, I remember those. And so a loom is like a cornucopia,
Yes.
right? So doesn't it stand to reason that fruit of the loom would have so there was a cornucopia that had fruit in it. Well, now if you look up the fruit of the loom logo, there is no cornucopia. It is just fruit. And doesn't really make sense to me just to have a pile of fruit laying there. I think it makes much more sense for imagery purposes to have it kind of sitting in something. But another from Disney, in Snow White. Zach, what does the evil queen say?
She says, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
But in our current reality, they say it's magic mirror on the... That doesn't even sound good. Magic mirror on the wall. I mean, it does, but when you have that, the reason it doesn't sound good is because it's ingrained in us that we knew it as mirror, mirror on the wall. Star Wars, if you're a Star Wars fan, please, what is the famous line that Darth Vader says to Luke?
Luke, I am your father.
Well, according to current reality, it is now, no, I am your father.
Nope.
It doesn't even feel good.
I remember specifically because what did we all, at least those of us who grew up watching this Star Wars when we were kids, what did we always do whenever there was a fan? You put your mouth right up next to the fan and it would make that weird noise when you talking to a fan. And you'd be like, Luke, I am your father. Like, I remember doing that all the time as a kid. I wouldn't have said, no, I am your father. Like, that's just, some of these are just mind benders. It's crazy to think about. What's another one?
The Monopoly man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
he didn't have a monocle.
Well, he did have a monocle, and now they say, no, he never had a monocle. But, I mean, he was representative of a bankster, was he not? Like, of course it made sense that he had a little monocle.
A lot of people's argument to that is that we're mixing up him and Mr. Peanut from the Planters Peanut guy. But I don't think so.
He had a monocle too, okay? There's more than one monocle.
I think they both had a monocle, yes.
Well, okay, so there's more examples.
By the way, the Lion and the Lamb one, I looked it up because I couldn't remember what it was. It's Isaiah 11:6, and it's the wolf and the lamb.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They say that's a whole nother podcast conversation, why that got changed to wolf.
We thought that it was the lion shall dwell or lay with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the young goat. But the actual verse is the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. So it's a wolf and lamb, not lion and lamb, which is crazy because I remember growing up in church, it being the lion and the lamb. Like the lion will lay with the lamb.
Aren't we supposed to watch out for wolves in sheep's clothing?
True.
Yes.
So now the lamb's laying with the the wolf. Seems kind of suspect.
A wolf.
Kind of sus.
Sheep.
Yeah.
Clothing.
Well,
Clothing store.
so those kinds of things just lend to like, is that our perception or a program memory slip?
Or glitches.
A glitch.
Glitch
you
in the
know?
matrix.
Or that something went back
Well,
to change
What say
we
you,
have
Mark?
timelines.
timeline.
And there's a lot of people that's learned how to jump timelines right now. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in power that have been trying to manipulate that whole
Do it.
thing and keep people dumbed down to it. They've been going forward, changing things, and then that's just why it trickles down, and then we see things change. Because it does change the past if you change the future. So we have the access to do it. Anybody can do it, but anytime you're doing something, you have to say, is this good for mankind? And am I interfering with anyone's free will? That's the best way to always kind of look at doing anything, especially if you're in creating. So in the timelines as they're tweaking them, we are going to see things in the past change, just like what we just talked about.
Oh, yeah. You brought that up earlier. You had a good analogy about writing a book.
Oh,
Or-
yeah.
You're in chapter 20.
Oh, yeah. You're writing a book, you're the author,
Uh-huh.
and you're in chapter 20, and then you start thinking, hey, what if I went back to chapter 3 or 4 and changed this? That would make this story way better and make more sense. So you go back and you rewrite that part, which is basically us going back and living a different timeline.
Okay. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Time
So,
jump. Time jump.
I think
Timeline jump.
we'll have to have. Do you have any classes on that? Actually, I know someone. We're gonna have her on as a guest at some point to talk about quantum blueprint manifestation technique. It's a type of meditation to kind of help you timeline
Aware of that.
jump. That's actually, yes. So we actually participated in that together and then ended up working together.
Oh, that's who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what Christina, her course is called, or she has a course, and we did those Zoom meditations together. And then I was guided to go see you for a reading, and then boom, Somatic Dance and Yoga for Renewal was born. That we host every other Wednesday at the Pyramid of Enlightenment.
Yeah,
But
I
that
didn't know
is
you taught yoga.
That's just another synchronicity that
because I was
this
talking about
works.
we're going to start doing yoga in here, and you asked me, do you have anybody yet? And I said, no. Do you know anyone? And you said, yeah, I do it.
That was crazy. I was standing right there.
And actually, in my inner monologue was, don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Don't
when you
tell
said
them
I was looking for someone for yoga, and I was like, don't say anything, because it wasn't that. And then I immediately am like, did you know I do yoga? But I'd like to quickly go back to the cave.
Are you ready for a little magic in your day? At High Level Design Salon and Barbershop, they turn the mundane into magic. Whether you desire a custom color or highly detailed fade, Zach and Jessica can help you foster your sense of self. For booking inquiries, simply visit www.highlevel444.com. Their reviews speak for themselves. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. Cheers!
So we had the one prisoner that was being freed or escaped. And the first thing that happened, he was blinded. And the real objects behind him were strange and unfamiliar. He wasn't just immediately like, ah, and excited. He was struggling, and it was a struggle to actually make it out of the cave. And his worldview was scrambled because he'd had a program or a belief running for so long that he was uncomfortable. And so there is an uncomfortable part to awakening whether you're talking philosophy, spirituality, or psychology. And the truth, it doesn't arrive like gentle yoga music. It's more like stepping out of a dark theater into bright sunlight with no shades, which, by the way, you shouldn't wear shades anyway because it blocks the sun and you actually need to get that. But
That's another
topic.
episode.
Red
Squirrel.
light, blue light.
Yep. Red light, blue light.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So this becomes disorienting and it can be painful. And another term that we hear a lot regarding this and kind of becoming aware, you can say waking up, you can say becoming a little more enlightened, becoming aware, and is cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
So Zach, give us an explanation on cognitive dissonance or like what you might feel regarding cognitive dissonance.
So cognitive dissonance is just when you have a deeply held belief or a value or an attitude that it's the discomfort, the psychological discomfort that you feel when you hold two or more conflicting beliefs or values or attitudes. An example, you've been taught something your entire life, and then all of a sudden you learn something that is the opposite of that is actually the truth. And then that causes discomfort, sometimes painful discomfort psychologically, that you're just like, it's like you have this, your brain like can't compute it at first. It's like, what? Huh? And there's so many different, and that leads back to like a lot of these conspiracy theories or whatever causes cognitive dissonance, because a lot of them, if not most of them, challenge what we've all been taught from day one. And that could be any number of things. It could be the Matrix and the simulation theory, or it could be, flat Earth or aliens or whatever,
We went to the moon.
Or did we, all of those things, because people are like, I watched it happen on TV, blah, 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 and it's things that are so ingrained in us. So anyways,
it's the
the discomfort. It's the psychological discomfort that you feel when you are presented with information that
shifts your paradigm.
Yeah, it shifts your paradigm.
And a lot of times you might feel, oh, I have spent my entire life believing this way. I have spent my life up to this point dedicated to this cause, and I'm finding out everything is perfect. Everything is as exactly as it should be. And timing is everything. So,
and not only does it cause psychological discomfort because it's just something that you thought was true that now you're finding out isn't true or it's different, people also don't like to admit that they were fooled or that they were wrong. Most people don't like to admit that. And learning something like that would then also kind of, you realize you have to admit that you were wrong about something for a long time.
I wouldn't say that someone is wrong. I
No,
would
not
say they
wrong,
were
that you had-
deceived.
Okay.
And so then there was a deception there. Okay, I understand where you're coming from, because a lot of people, the egoic part of themselves would start arguing for argument's sake. You can present like factual scientific evidence of something, and if someone believes it the opposite and they're not in a position to wake up to the fact, they will deny it and argue it to the death.
It's easier to deceive a man than it is to convince him he's been deceived.
Oh, that's
Absolutely.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Mark, when someone starts waking up, why is it that the process usually is painful or destabilizing?
Well, in tarot, we call that the Tower card. It's a total disruption of your belief system. It's breaking down your barriers, your walls, and you expand. The unknown is usually culprit, which leads to fear, anger, all these different emotions that actually keep us in the matrix. But as we've talked before, what does fear stand for?
False evidence appearing real.
Study what you fear, the fear goes away. But the unknown is, first of all, I like to say that, your superconscious is you in the future, and who has your back better than you? So you can ask your superconscious to open your eyes as you need to be with you, to help you in all these ways. I'm not God out of the picture, because it's right up there with God. It doesn't have to come back anymore. So when you ask, you shall receive, and you knock, the door shall open. But the discomfort comes from the, where's this going to take me? What's next? I don't have control anymore.
Fear
Ooh,
of
the
unknown.
control.
Yeah.
And control.
Being
That's a big.
not in control. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's
Pretty
the
multifaceted.
uncomfortable truth versus the comforting illusion. And the illusion is simply the comfort. The comfort is simply knowing what's going to happen next. But when you're dissatisfied, is it really that comfortable to just stay in that? And personally, I can attest to facing what I fear. What you said, study what you fear and face that, and it will open you up. It doesn't. And if you can't put something up and allow your beliefs to be questioned, do you really believe it? If you're not open that your highest good is going to come to you, if that's what you're seeking, that just alone, no fear. Zach's wearing a shirt that says, "Fear is for others." I love
Bruce
that.
Lee.
Bruce Lee. So when waking up and we're going through this discomfort, I feel oftentimes, I know I went through a phase where it seemed like, well, then does anything really matter? Like if I, if this is all being controlled, what can I do? It doesn't change anything for me, but in actuality, it does.
Well, there's a quote that says, "Nothing matters till it matters." And so we create that in our illusion that this now matters. And this is why judging is so harsh. Anytime we judge something, we now have to go through it. We just brought that into our reality.
Ooh, which
Well, nothing matters if that's like to go to the scientific backing
Yes.
of that, is that particles and things don't until they're being observed, they change once they're being observed. So once you give it meaning, there you go. Once you're looking at it and that's, it's real now. Nothing matters until it matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have another little personal example of judging something that happened. And in a nutshell, I got in a car accident, called the officers to the scene. Someone hit me. I called to report the accident. The officer gave me a ticket for a U-turn for being in the shoulder because of the accident, never having made a U-turn.
It was in the middle of the highway.
It was
that
in the middle of
turnaround.
the highway. And so I immediately was like, great, I'm going to have to go fight this ticket. And I had just asked, I wanted to give no cares about, I was like, all right, universe, I want to give no cares about anything, like just flow with everything. And then I just kept having all these things happen, negative things, what I judged negatively. So then I get in an accident and I'm like, it's okay. I'm not going to let this take me down. I'm not going to judge it. Then the officer gives me a ticket for something I didn't do. And then I lost my stuff because I was like, what in the world? I didn't even do this. And now I have to spend my time and I have to go and I have to fight this ticket. And I went and the initial traffic court, because I was denying the violation, they were like, you're going to have to come back and the officer has to come. And I was so peeved that I wasted time and I judged it as waste of time. And then I went back and I had my hearing against the officer. I was so nervous. I ended up, the judge ruled in my favor. And the satisfaction that I received from winning against a police officer that unjustly gave me a violation was immense. And I was like, and there was a moment that I was sitting there in the courtroom before we started, and I was like, this is just something that I set up to experience something. I'm learning something from this. I'm gleaning something from this. This is another tool in my tool belt. And yeah, I won. And like I said, if I would have never gone into that, I judged it negatively, but sometimes blessings look like bullshit. And because of the satisfaction that I received from that, it kind of raised my frequency and boosted me to overcome some other things. And then I was like, why are all these things happening? And I was like, well, you said you didn't want to give any cares and you had to have things to practice not caring about or to flow with. And so that's just all that to say, like you mentioned something about judging a situation and then having to deal with it. And I judge that as negatively, but if I wouldn't have experienced that quote negative experience, I would have never experienced the elation and the satisfaction that I hadn't felt in a long time.
Well,
So,
the positive and the negative are the exact same thing, just different frequencies of it.
mm-hmm. That's right. The duality of it all. So if you did feel if you've ever felt the experience of, well, nothing really matters then, if this is just a simulation or the matrix and everything's being controlled within the matrix.
You gotta be careful because it's just nihilism. It'll make you nihilistic, I think, or it can. You let it,
Which is what we said, that the belief that nothing matters.
Yeah.
And
being
so,
black-pilled. That would be the other term in society for that, is being black-pilled. And I think, to add to that, I think they want us to be black-pilled.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they would rather us be black-pilled than anything, because then it's just like, well, what? Everything is in the drain. Everything sucks. Nothing matters.
The society is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yep.
Chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, dude. Absolutely. And, I think exactly. Because what are you going to do about that? We can't stop the chemtrails, at least not the three of us.
No, but we can put up our own barrier of protection.
Correct.
And your belief creates your reality. And if you believe you have a barrier of protection, you will have a barrier of protection.
Jesus' words were pretty simple in that sense. I feel like I think it's such a simple thing that's why it's so difficult for people to understand, is because it's so simple. They're like, there's no way this can be that simple. But I feel like over and over again, whether it's Jesus or any other number of, spiritual leaders or masters or whoever, have all kind of said that same thing in one way or the other. And it's always in a simple way. So I think that's why it's so hard for people to, but anywho.
We can create meaning within the simulation or the matrix. We are co-programmers or co-creators, however you'd like to view it. And we're not prisoners. We can move about more freely.
Well, a lot of people are prisoners until they wake up and remove themselves from that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What's that phrase? Oh man, the phrase about being a prisoner. It's.
I don't know what you're talking about, but and one of my teachers taught me, in our minds, is most of us rearrange the furniture in the same prison and think we're different.
I mean, that's
like
good.
That.
It's not what I was thinking of, but I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
I was told, quit rearranging the furniture. Get out.
I think it's something along the lines of the best prisoner to have is the one that doesn't know that he's imprisoned. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying the exact. It's the best kind of prisoner, meaning
I think what you're going at is, and I might be wrong on this, but what I've heard is the best slave is one that doesn't know he's a slave.
That's okay. That's probably what I'm getting at, and I'm just saying prisoner instead of slave, but yes, you're correct. That's what I was thinking of, is that the one that doesn't know, the easiest one to control. So the best one, the easiest one to have is the one that doesn't know he's a slave. And I would venture to say most people, that's most of society, not everybody, but most of society. So I totally
Well, that's
agree.
what they're done with us since COVID. They go stay in your home. We'll call that your prison, and you're paying for the prison.
Yep.
And you stay there, stay in front of the TV, get brainwashed, play on the Xbox, do whatever you need to do, and don't go anywhere anymore. Order everything online to your house. That's your prison. That's what they're trying to make us do. So I purposely get out and go places.
Yeah.
Especially nature, because
yeah.
that feeds you on multiple levels, body, mind, and spirit.
Frequency, you need the sun, obviously, all those different things. But yeah, it's like it's crazy to think about, but they're like, here, stay in your own prison and pay for it.
But what we have discussed before, and I believe it was our first episode, that thoughts become things, and what you think about, you bring about. And how did you say it? Change your
thoughts, change your world.
Change your thoughts, change your world, change your reality. And there are certain fixed things, sure, that you're just going to move about as if you are a river flowing and there's a rock and you're flowing right around it. But all of your power lies in the projection of your energy. So when you begin consciously utilizing that and moving within that, then you can begin to change your world. And
higher frequencies always trickle down. So if you become the best person in the room, the people around you will benefit, and they will start being a better person.
Love that. Raise the collective
You are who you
consciousness.
hang out with.
Well, I like hanging out with you guys. I already feel more enlightened with Mark in the room.
Yep.
So Free Guy is a movie with Ryan Reynolds. Thank you.
You ever seen Free Guy?
Oh.
It came out, what was it, 2018, 2019?
It's a fairly recent movie, but he is an NPC, a non-player character within the game. And within the game, he meets like a player and he puts on these glasses and he actually sees what's really going on, that he's just in this loop. And he starts realizing, and he starts playing the game. So he realized it was a game. So now he starts playing the game and he becomes aware, and he's not stuck in his wake up, feed my goldfish, do some push-ups, drink my juice, go to work, say the same things to the same people every day. He gets out of it and he starts conquering and fighting back and starts seeing the truth. And he starts playing the game and becomes a high-level player. And one of the things that he says in the movie to his friend, because he's trying to get his friend to realize the truth and put on the glasses. He's like, put on these glasses. Let me show you. And he's like, no, you're acting crazy. I don't want what you're doing. He's like, this is wild. And he goes, you don't have to let life happen to you. And that was so powerful, but he doesn't get it yet. And I think that takes us going back to the cave, where the prisoner, he wants to climb back into the cave and start telling other people what's going on. So why do truth tellers get labeled as crazy, or truth seekers, or they get labeled as you mentioned earlier, conspiracy theorist, which conspiracy theorist was coined by the CIA, was it not?
After JFK was killed.
To make you, anyone who speaks the truth,
it was
or questions anything, to label them as a loon, as someone, my dad, like we called him old mountain hippie conspiracy theorist over 20 years ago. And we kind of laughed. And then we start, as we are getting a little older and, becoming more aware of things, we start seeing all these things that are truth, down to him talking about fluoride in the water and pandemics. And we're talking about 20 plus years ago. So we started seeing, and now we know, that it's not a conspiracy theory. It is. It is a conspiracy against
because there's
people.
2 or 3 or more people conspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we don't want the truth out, so if you've woke up and you're finding the truth, we have to label you crazy. So everybody
Yes.
stays away from you and doesn't listen because they don't want to be associated with
Right.
that.
They discredit
Yes.
you. Yeah, they discredit you. And
When was
what?
it that there was a great reset? You can look back and there were many major cities that had catastrophic fires and wiped out the entire city. But before you go
Chicago.
into any of that, which I didn't necessarily all the detail, but the people that were like, no, this existed. This was like this. They took all those people and threw them into asylums.
So just a quick overview of what you're referencing. I think society has gone through multiple resets, and this kind of goes back to the Tartarian civilization. That was a worldwide global civilization, essentially. It was just us, and we were at a very high level of technology. Like, there's nothing new under the sun. All the technology we know and love today has been here before already at some point in some form, I believe. And Tartaria, that's why this is a whole nother episode, but basically all you got to do is just look at any old world architecture. This is the old world I'm talking about, and not old world like 5,000 years ago. I'm talking like 200, 250 years ago or
We'll go
less.
to any major
So,
downtown.
Go to any downtown area of any city. It's all over the world, all over our own country in the United States, even here in Indiana, downtown Indianapolis, downtown, even smaller places like Noblesville or wherever. Some of these older buildings, they try to tell us, especially these old Gothic cathedrals and stuff like that all throughout Europe, but all these beautiful cathedrals, old buildings that were just beautiful architecture, and they try to tell us that it was all built by hammer and chisel. There's no way that some of this stuff was just hammer and chisel. So my point is, we had gotten to a very high level of society with the Tartarian empire, well, civilization, really. It was just us, and we had gotten to, so basically by the time we got to that, you know, I think a lot of this started really in like 1776, if we're being specific. That's when the Illuminati was created, the Bavarian Illuminati, all that stuff. And then those families started kind of coming to power, like the Rothschilds and blah, blah, blah. So I think the reset happened sometime in the 1800s. And to refer back to what you said about I think if you remember, listeners, you know, all the talk when we were growing up, you know, hearing about all the different insane asylums and places like that. And maybe you heard about all the different orphan trains and things like that, how there was like a lot of orphans back then in like especially the mid to late 1800s into the early 1900s. But that's also when like things like lobotomies and stuff were happening, like barbaric practices. But you're referencing, I think all of those people, the majority of those people that were just thrown into insane asylums were labeled as crazy and insane because they weren't going along with the reset that was happening. The reset was happening, and then you brought up all the different fires. There was
They weren't going.
research. There was great fires and floods all over the world, major cities everywhere, because I think they were getting rid of a lot of that architecture. I think that's what a lot of wars have done, is getting rid of architecture, all those things. So that last reset, I think, happened somewhere around the turn of the 1800s into the 1900s, especially when we found, you know, what's his name? J.D. Rockefeller figured out that we could pretty much produce a lot of our textiles from petroleum, from oil, and that's when they changed everything. And, you know, then in comes the Federal Reserve and central bank and all that kind of stuff. So yes, I do believe that there was a reset not that long ago.
And that they just gathered the people because they were going against the new narrative.
It
And
was between 1887 and 1925.
There you go. So exact same. So yes, all of those people that weren't going along with it, that knew, they're like, nah, dude, what are you doing? They labeled them as crazy, threw them in insane asylums, and then all of their children were the ones that were on all these orphan trains or got sent to orphanages, and then they spread out these children eventually, Who knows what they did with them, but they, and then there's your kind of generational reset right there is where I think that happened. And, I think, that points to Nikola Tesla. I don't think he discovered free energy. We already had it. That's free energy, I think, is how, the pyramids and things like that were built, at one point or another. And I think he didn't discover it. I think he was getting the word out more for one reason or another. And then, of course, he dies penniless. J.P. Morgan, Thomas Edison, et cetera, take all his stuff. And, so I don't think he discovered it. I think we already had it.
He got in touch with nature. He was meditating, and he kept seeing 3, 6, and 9 all over again. And he listened to his guides and angels, went out, found it, and untapped it. But he never took claim for it.
Right. He didn't want to charge for it. And they were like, nah, man, we're going to charge for electricity. Anyways.
So ultimately, when the biggest part of that is, I believe people just don't want to be disrupted in their
right. It's that whole
in their worldview.
Returning to the cave.
Yeah. So
if we're going to use Plato's, allegory, the freed prisoner returns to the cave, and because he wants to tell everybody, he wants to help other people, and I think that's how a lot of people are when they start waking up. You want to tell everybody, especially your loved ones. And now, when the prisoner goes back into the cave, now he can barely see in the darkness. He looks confused because he's been out in the light. He can't see in the darkness. So he struggles. So then the others in the cave assume that the journey ruined him. So most people, just like you said, don't want their worldview disrupted. They're comfortable with the familiar shadows. Someone who's seen outside the cave seems strange or threatening. People who are waking up who can see it. And so that's why mystics get dismissed, or conspiracy theorists get dismissed. Innovators are mocked, or why truth seekers tend to feel like outsiders at family gatherings. Right.
We may not like what we know or see or feel, but we know what to expect. And that's good enough, is what we were told.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good enough. Don't question it. Move on. That's just the way it is. So, okay, you want to help someone. Sometimes it's just not their time to fully understand. So if you were to go and try to, it's like anyone, if you're sleeping and you have someone come over and just shake you awake, nobody's going to like that. So, just it's kind of let them be until it's time. Don't try to force anyone to be aware.
Be gentle and just plant seeds.
And do you, because when you are doing you, like you said, when you are the highest version of yourself and the grandest version of who you really are, and you walk into a room, everyone else will be lifted by that. So if you're just working on you, others will start to see, oh, well, look what they just did. Or, oh man, how did they create this? Or, man, their whole paradigm shifted. And I think that.
I have a great example.
Okay, please.
My daughter looked at me one day and she said, "You seem happy. What are you doing? I want to do it too."
And then you were probably like, "Nothing. I'm not actually."
No, I went, "Well, funny you should ask. Let me show you."
And, your sweatshirt says asshole. So, and it says, a person who constantly asks for advice, yet always does the opposite of what you told them. So I'm sure your daughter wasn't an asshole. I'm sure she's.
Don't be an asshole, guys.
If you ask, follow, or see if it resonates with you. How about that? See if it resonates. And all of this is just what we've come to become aware of and been able to utilize tools to move within, because you can, as we've discussed before, you can shift your reality, and, the law of attraction, and like what we said in a nutshell, thoughts become things. You might not be able to escape the matrix physically, but you can alter your relationship to it. And what we're that's what we're discussing is, moving freely within it. And
So what are some ways to implement that, some practical ways to try and alter your relationship with the matrix we live in?
well, first I would say go listen to episode 1 because we break that down and talk about the law of attraction. And you might even you're like, I'm stuck in this loop, this negative feedback loop, which maybe that is unhappiness in your job, but the fear of the unknown prevents you, the comfort of your income prevents you from taking the step beyond to open yourself up to something that could be more satisfying. You don't even believe you could have something more satisfying. But as you begin to realize that my thoughts, instead of dwelling on what I don't want, like, I don't want this job, I don't want this person near me, I don't want this car, I hate this, I don't like this. Instead of dwelling on those things or thinking you have no control and life's just happening to you, and maybe you have a run of negative things because something lowered your vibration, something lowered your frequency, and now you're stuck in that and you've been attracting lower vibrating experiences. And you can begin to consciously co-create what you would like to see. And you do have to be open to things being shifted. The biggest part, I believe, is flowing, going with the flow. And if something's removed from your life that you don't think you're, oh my God, like, let it, open arms for things to be removed and put in. And that is the release of control. So I think that's a big factor in it, is the release of, I have to control this and I have to know what's going on and my ducks have to be in a row. And then you're just part of, like, forgive me but a cog in the machine at that point, and instead of working with the architect of our life. And
Be like water.
so meditation is a wonderful way of going within to begin to rewire that programming that we've had, that everything is taking it for face value, being fed, spoon fed our beliefs, spoon fed our laws, spoon fed our societal norms, and going within and saying what actually resonates with me.
Well, like when for years ago, I used to meditate, but I've always gone in and out of it because my mind's been busy and I couldn't quiet it. I would thought you had a certain way. When I found you could just take baby steps, and got to start somewhere. And so I just set a timer for 5 minutes. Doesn't have 5 minutes a day to dedicate to this. And when you do, it's like your higher self, your guides, they say, hey, serious? Okay, we're going to start helping them now. And you get the help from above.
Mm-hmm.
And with anything in spirituality, take baby steps.
Absolutely. Yes. Start where you are with what you have.
Start small.
Mm-hmm. This is also, I believe, it's part of our spiritual evolution to realize that we have this capability. We are so many things I've heard, like when you hear people channeling other entities and things, they say, what's something that humanity needs to hear? And something I've heard across the board is, you are so much more powerful than you realize. You have been socially conditioned to believe you have no power.
It's been hardwired into us.
Mm-hmm. And therefore it becomes, it is a little more difficult to break out. But then when you do step out and you release all those limiting beliefs and things that have been your guide up to this point, or you've been moving unconsciously and you start moving consciously within your life, I think that's another way to, move within the matrix. Having gratitude.
Speaking of matrix, I have people in class when I start teaching them the little steps they can start doing in life. to change their life and make it better. They go, well, that looks like a lot of hard work. And I go, well, not doing anything positive. You might as well turn it to, I mean, why don't you focus on the positive? You're wasting that time when you could be using it here. Give it 2 weeks. And each one that actually gave it 2 weeks came back and said, oh my God, I can't believe the difference. That's not a lot to give up,
No.
especially when you're already programming your reality with the thoughts you're having right now that aren't good.
Right. Right.
So tell us a little bit more about your class and what you cover in understanding the matrix. Like, you can give us some bullet points of, the information. Like you said, what's an example of something that someone can do for 2 weeks to try?
Well, 5 minutes a day meditating.
Okay.
Doing deep breathing exercises, do 3 of them in a row 3 times a day. They're just things that you're going to do anyway. I mean, it works so well when you start doing it. It recenters you. Like, I used to never have patience driving because I thought everybody didn't know how to drive. I'm going to say it nicely. When I start breathing, the exercises where I breathe in 4, hold for 2, breathe out 6 while I'm driving, now it seems like there's never traffic around me and I'm hitting all green lights.
So it's kind of like AI, which I've been baby stepping into, but you give it a prompt and you let it know a command and you let it know what you want it to act as.
It's better the more specific.
And it's better the more specific you are.
Which is how intention works in law of attraction.
Yes. So I have started doing that for myself and giving myself a prompt. I am acting as a professional podcaster. But so that is, you can give your life a prompt. I am this. And you will begin to align. The things in your life will begin to align around the command that you give. But there has to be authority and belief in that. But I also do believe you have to start somewhere. So the more you say it, the more you believe it. And everything is repetition, I've learned.
Just remember, I am is a magical term. Okay. So what you say after that, you're creating. And most people use it the wrong way. They say something negative after that.
I am tired. I am
Yes,
broke.
and this is
I am
why
depressed.
things happen, because you are manifesting that. So when you start watching your words, you start changing how you speak. And I've learned to just pause first, think it through, then speak.
Slow to speak.
What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions people have about the Matrix?
Maybe that it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yep. I'd say that is probably the biggest misconception.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
And then they start listening and they're like, what? And they're afraid to let on that they might believe in it because that's out of the norm. And so it's just out of your comfort zone to find the truth. But when you start seeking the truth and finding it, it becomes addictive too.
That's very true, which I think people can understand. You start going down the rabbit holes, and those will lead you. See, we brought up earlier, when you seek, you will find. And if you are truly only seeking information for your highest good, that is what you will find. If you're looking to see how terrible people are, you will find how terrible people are and can be, and that is what you will experience. But if you believe that your reality is full of beautiful, loving humans, that's what you will attract, and that's what you will experience.
Well, okay, so got to say it within reason that your unconscious can believe it. If you say everybody's beautiful humans and it's going, ha, 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 you're nuts. And they'll keep bringing the bad ones to you. I'm working on improving quality of people I hang out with. That's the difference, is because it can believe that you're working on it.
Okay.
So you got to kind of watch how you speak it.
To be reasonable
Yeah, within believableness.
to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah, because not necessarily within reason, because we
But
don't
reasonable
function
to your
in logic.
reasonable to your egoic
Yes,
mind.
okay,
To
yes.
your, it's reasonable. Like, okay, yeah, I am working on that. I can do that.
Well, feelings have a lot to do. It's 4,000% stronger than your thoughts are. Okay, what you're feeling is what you're drawing to you. So if you think one thing or say it, but you believe something else, you're still getting what you feel. So it's like learning to change your feelings on it. Just like, okay, love and hate. Oh, I hate when that happens. I hate that person. Okay, what if you could love them? What if you could find something good about them? Because then you're going to change that frequency. And then when you can do that, when you love what you hate, it no longer affects you. It no longer bothers you. And all of a sudden, your whole world gets better.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one.
Hey, sometimes you got to dig deep.
Yes, that's
But
a
it's
tough one though.
findable.
Yes. And by the way, probably should have started off by saying this, but the word matrix is simply the actual definition is just an environment or material in which something develops, a surrounding medium or structure. So if you believe that this is kind of like a training ground, a school for our souls, our spirits in some way, that's all it is, and the root of the word, the MATR, is mother. It goes back to, madre, mother, that root of the word, which a matrix is essentially like the womb. It's an environment where something is developing. So just a little thought I had is that's all, people hear the word matrix and they think of the movie. And I mean, I know I do, but like it's a simple term, and that's all this is. This is an environment in which we're developing. So
Is there anything mind-blowing that you discuss in your class, or something that kind of just throws people for a loop?
Pretty much everything.
I knew he was going to say that.
I
I
can't
almost was going to
find
answer
one
for you.
thing that does that, because it's I already 3 weeks, 2 hours. So you got 6 hours worth of knowledge. That's all 6 hours are mind blowing.
Awesome. So if you want your mind blown, which don't we all need a little, like something these days, and stepping outside of our loop? So you can check out Mark's class, Understanding the Matrix, at the Pyramid of Enlightenment. All the information, time, when he offers the class, you can find that at www.pyramid-of-enlightenment.com. You can also find out there how to book a reading, see the offerings of all their classes. They have specials. Often they have specials. There's psychic fairs, drum circles. Zach and I have been to a few drum circles, which are very highly enjoyable, just to be with community and dance to the beat of your own drum. You can reach them if you'd like to call at 317-899-7590. And you can ask to book a reading. And actually, Mark was one of the first people that I ever went to for a reading several years ago, over 10 years ago. And the Pyramid of Enlightenment was the first place that I ever went, the first kind of metaphysical shop that drew me in and helped me along my path. So, Mark, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And do you have any other final words?
Breathe.
I
good.
love it. Just breathe.
breathe.
So check out the Pyramid of Enlightenment. If you have any other questions or any other information, you're always welcome to email us. Our email address is on our website, highlevel444.com. And you can also find many of the resources that we discuss, books, documentaries, suggested reading, those will be under the High Level Heresy podcast tab. And just to throw it out there, What the Bleep Do We Know is a really good place to start. It's a documentary. It's a good place to start for just kind of having even more. If you'd like to have some knowledge before you go to Mark's class and be able to ask questions, that's a good place to start. And we will have the link to that as well.
If you knew this reality was coded, would you still play the game, or would you rewrite it?
Maybe the Matrix isn't a trap. Maybe it's a classroom. Maybe every glitch is an invitation to wake up, not break out.
Today's episode is brought to you by High Level Design Salon and Barber Shop. For more information on how to book or how to contact us, just go to our website, highlevel444.com.
We thank you for listening.
We thank you very much for listening. Thank our guest for coming in. He will definitely be on some upcoming episodes for sure.
Like and subscribe and share if this has resonated with you. We want to get the word out and help raise the consciousness of the planet.
Until next time,
We leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite Creator.
May the Force be with you.
And also with you.
High level heresy.